Good morning, people. Today is August 20th, 2021. I'm just sitting here reflecting, which I do often, on the situation that we're facing in the world today, the situation that we as mankind in all countries are facing right now in the world today. Sometimes I just have to shake my head because, well, I wonder even why I do videos. I mean, I don't have that many views. I guess at some point I'm hoping that either one of my videos goes viral and gets to a lot of people. Because I speak from the heart. I listen to the wind and I speak from the heart. I wrote a book, Listen to the Wind, Speak from the Heart. It's an award-winning book. What does listening to the wind mean? Well, it means a lot of things. Listen to the wind. Listen to what's in the wind. Listen to your intuition. Pay attention to your feelings. Pay attention to what's going on around you. And then speak to others from the heart. See, it's really getting hard to even speak from the heart on a video nowadays because of the big C word, the censorship that is prevalent on all forms of media. It's either censorship or it's outright propaganda. I was thinking about, all kinds of things. Last night I was watching an old movie. Actually, it was a mini-series called The Winds of War about World War II. I wonder how many people out there even know about World War II or even think about World War II or think about all the young men and women that fought in World War II against fascism and against tyranny. Not just in America, I'm talking about France and Poland and Russia and all the people that fought for freedom, or what they perceived was freedom. Or how about the Vietnam War? See, that the younger generation today doesn't remember any of this shit. They don't. And they don't realize how precious freedom is. There should be millions of people in the streets of America. Millions out in the streets of America protesting what's going on right now. What is going on? Well, absolute tyranny, fascism. You can call it fascism. Basically, I think if I called it totalitarianism, that probably would cover what's going on right now. Freedoms being taken away. Sometimes I sit here and I wonder, and I look out the window at the beautiful landscape out there, the desert landscape and the mountains and everything. And I wonder why people don't appreciate what they have. Why is everybody so brain dead? Why is it that people just take whatever is dished out to them without question anymore? They don't do this in other countries. They know what it's like in other countries, some of them, to lose freedom. Again, it's a generational thing, though. I mean, you reflect on it and you realize that some of the younger generation, not my generation, younger generation has dropped the ball, has not really thought about the situation that faces us today. Well, what situation faces us today? Well, again, it's outright enslavement, it's outright tyranny, it's outright fascism. Millions should be in the streets of America right now. Protesting, getting out and having a voice, a unified voice as to their feelings as about, what's going on. Now, there are little pockets of resistance. There are little pockets of people that are so-called awakening. Not enough, though. Not enough people out there to stand up for themselves, their children, their grandchildren. What's happening here in America today? The freedoms that are being taken away. Sometimes I wonder why the powers to be or why the government can't just leave the people alone. Leave the fucking people alone. Why do they always have to have some kind of iron hand, iron fist, laws upon laws upon laws, mandates, telling people what to do? Why can't they just leave people the fuck alone? It's really, really a sad and pathetic affair, I mean, if some of those veterans from World War II were here now, not many, I doubt if hardly any are here right now, they would be shaking their heads in disgust at what has happened to America. It would just be something that they probably couldn't comprehend at all. I was watching this mini-series called The Winds of War about World War II and Hitler and everything that went down, how the Jews were singled out and ostracized and put into concentration camps and herded into showers that they thought were showers that were really gas chambers to be eliminated, to be killed, murdered. And then I see some of the rhetoric. See, I'm a soul voice out here. I consider myself more of a shaman than I do any kind of truther or whatever they want to label the alternative media nowadays. I find that everybody gets caught up in some kind of meme, and by meme I mean a belief system. Memes are nothing other than belief systems. Words and belief systems that control your outlook on life. That orchestrate you. You orchestrate yourself by adapting yourself to different memes, like political correctness and all these catchphrases that are out there. Black Lives Matter and the woke movement, and these are all memes. These are all belief systems that are perpetrated upon the people for an agenda. And people buy right into this shit. I mean, they don't even bother to think about, what they're buying into and why they're buying into it. There is a mass psychosis in society today that's been perpetrated on society that has manipulated mankind into thinking certain ways. And these ways are almost like people are drugged. They're drugged with the drug of propaganda, okay, and manipulation, and not thinking for themselves. Even these truthers and even these so-called patriots out there aren't really thinking for themselves. They're just mouthing a rhetoric that was handed to them by somebody else, and they bought into the meme that these people know what the fuck they're talking about, when really they don't. It's most of the shit's illogical. You know, most of the stuff that people talk about, let's say like getting saved from, like the Patriot movement, getting saved from the tyranny that surrounds us, or whatever. They're just mouthing something that really doesn't have anything to do with real patriotism. Doesn't have anything to do with it. Doesn't have anything to do with the fall of America, and doesn't have anything to do with what you should do if America fell. Adherence to the Constitution can see it plain and clear. I mean, they see and listen to the words and take them to heart of things like our Second Amendment rights, okay, as citizens, and our constitutional right as citizens. You have to take things to heart and know what the spirit of something is or should be. The spirit of the Constitution was based on escaping tyranny and freedom and equality for all humankind, to do as they wanted to do, as long as they didn't hurt others. See, that's the definition of natural law. Natural law says some of the same things that the Constitution says. Natural law says you have a right to do anything you want as long as you're not harming anybody else, mentally, physically, or spiritually. As long as you're not out there to project harm on somebody else. And somebody else, including the government or whoever people give their power to, authority, shouldn't be projecting harm on you. And if they do, you have recourse, and that recourse is self-defense. I would rather use self-offense, but let's just talk about self-defense and the right to protect oneself from harm. You see harm all over the world. I mean, you see harm being projected on its citizens by the government. They're always trying to make some kind of new law to give you a right or take away a right. You have the right to do this. If you go down to the DMV and get your license, you have the right to drive. Well, who said that they had the right to give us a right? Okay? We have the right to do anything that we are capable of doing. You have the right to bear arms, or you don't have the right to bear arms. Natural law says that you have the right to bear arms. There's a lot of shit going on right now with the Biden administration trying to take away the right for people to build or bear or possess arms. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they can't leave people the fuck alone? What's their agenda behind trying to take arms away from people? What's the agenda behind medical tyranny? And you know what I'm talking about here. I'm going to try to be delicate in certain areas so that maybe this can go up on YouTube. What happened to your own individual right to do whatever you wanted with your own body? It's your body. You're a sovereign being. You have the right to do whatever you want. If you wanted to take yourself out, that's your privilege. If you don't want to take yourself out, if you want to live a certain lifestyle, if you want to be free to come and go as you please, I really reflect sometimes on things. I'm waxing and waning today. Words that are out there, lockdown and passports, medical passports, and injections of fluids into your body. When did it become not right, for each individual to decide what they wanted to do on a medical level or any level with their own body? That's what the Fourth Amendment is for. And the Second Amendment backs up the Fourth Amendment and the First Amendment. The First Amendment being the right to free speech, which is what I'm doing now. But now we live in a world where supposedly you got to be careful about every goddamn thing you say. Got to be careful, got to be afraid. Fear porn, fear tactics. You can't do this, you got to do that. The government says this, the government says that. The governors, excuse me, the governors say this, the governors say that. The Congress says this, the Congress says that. The World Health Organization says this and that. The Center for Disease Control says this and that. We know what's best for you. Does any of this sound familiar? Because this is exactly what they said in Nazi Germany. When they put people in camps, and now they're talking about FEMA camps, that they're going to put people in because unless they abide by certain mandates, or unless they follow a certain directive, automatically they become an enemy. And what about patriots as an enemy? And I talked about this in a previous video, how all of a sudden they branded patriots, and they, I talk about they. Who are they? And where the fuck are you? Hiding somewhere behind somebody's skirt? They say this, and they say that, and they. And nobody really knows who they really are. We know this much, that there are a few group of elite people that seem to want to impose their will and their egos and their psychotic behavior on humankind as a whole. Nobody has the right to do that to us. Nobody has the right to use massive amounts of fear porn, and this is trickling out everywhere, even through the alternative media. This is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and oh my God, it's the end of the fucking world, and they're clamping down and locking down, and it's time to prepare, and it's time to stock up on food and get a generator and get your, why should people even have to think about this shit? Why should we even have to think about survival or what we say or what we do or what we don't do? As a humankind, as a free person, a free citizen on this planet, in this country, what did the people go to war for in World War II? What did they fight for? Did they fight for freedom? Globalist terrorism is what this is. Globalist terrorism. And they try to say other people are terrorists. I mean, they always turn the narrative around. Okay? They always turn the narrative around to make it look like you're the terrorist and they're the good guys. It's a trick. It's a sleight of hand. It's a hustle. It's it's a lie. People out there are living their lives, and it's a struggle, and they're trying to make ends meet, and they don't have a lot of time to think about things, although they will turn on that boob tube, or they will turn on that iPhone, or they will turn on that computer and listen to the pure, unadulterated bullshit that's being fed to them. To their harm, to their detriment, to their own detriment. They don't put on their thinking caps. They don't put on their critical thinking caps. They don't research things. They just accept things from authority at face value. Oh, well, they know what's best for us. Are things like lockdowns and forced agendas, forced medical agendas, and forced tyranny in the form of, are things like taking your guns away? To leave you defenseless against a government that has shitloads of guns and military, which they're not even supposed to have. The Constitution, if you want to go by it, says that, it really does say there should not be a standing army. How did this get so fucking out of control? How did people let this happen? Man, I think back to my youth and how free really it was back then, like in the years that I was born in 46 and in 56 and 58, or I was 10, 12 years old, and basically pretty much could do anything I want. People could pretty much do anything they wanted. There were no gun control laws or any kind of laws that really imposed a heavy-duty restriction on your freedom. I mean, granted, government's always been corrupt. We just didn't know it back then, but it didn't have the ramifications that it has now to this whatever this globalist agenda, this tyrannical, fascist, totalitarian. And you know, they like to strike anger. They like to bring up anger and fear, and I get caught up in it sometimes, especially in a video, because when I start talking about it, then I start getting passionate. They feed off your fear. The dark ones do. They feed off your fear. The archons, or you can call them whatever you want, the dark angels, the demons, the archons, the aliens. You can call them whatever you want, but they feed off your fear, and they are out there. And they feed off high emotion and anger and stuff like that. So I'll try to be a little bit more sublime here, but I'm not here to make people, I'm not here to report on every little news situation that's happening in the world and say, you know what, this shows that either the good guys are in control or the bad guys, and there's a war with the bad guys and the good guys, and there's a spiritual war going on, and people have to awaken, and that's a narrative that's going on right now. That's a one side against the other. That's the Hegelian dialectic imposed by these very intelligent people that are into all kinds of thought, hidden thought, occult thought. Not that occult is bad, it just means hidden. But they know things that you don't because you don't educate yourself. They know how the laws of energy and the laws of thinking and the laws of thoughts and the laws of manipulation, and they're deep into this stuff. So if I feel like I have a purpose for mankind, it's to inform them of how they're being hustled, hoodwinked, taken advantage of. Nobody likes to see anybody getting taken advantage of. But here we are, mass psychosis of the masses, that just accept anything. Just like in Nazi Germany. The Jews were somehow labeled bad. They were sweating BBs. They were even afraid to say they were Jews, or afraid to say that they were that their name, they'd changed their last names so that it didn't sound Jewish. They were constantly in fear, constantly hiding. That's what they want to fucking do to you today. They want to do that to the people that don't take part in their medical orders, their medical agenda. They want to separate people. They want to make the people that don't comply like the Jews. They want to put them in concentration camps, FEMA camps, and ship them off. This is what I'm hearing. I only go by what I can see or hear around me. And this is all to strike fear. Now, having said that, do I want everybody to be fearful of these things? No, I don't want everybody to be fearful. I want people to take a deep breath, relax, try to think lucidly, try to think about the energy that's involved here. Try to think about how you as an individual can protect yourself spiritually. How you can contain yourself spiritually. How you can get to the point where you're not flipping out, you're not getting angry. But you can take action. You can take action without having fear. If you take action without having fear, without getting angry, if you take action, okay, on some kind of level, either on an energy level or a physical level, mental, spiritual, but you just can't sit complacent and do nothing. You have to do something to ensure your freedom. And as a shaman, I know that freedom is really within you. No matter what people do out there in this third dimensional realm, no matter what they do, that freedom always lies within you. It's the freedom to say no, the freedom to say yes, the freedom to stick by your values and principles and spiritual values to the point of death, and not care. Not care. But then see, there's that always is that tug of war when in this third dimensional realm when you're a grandfather like I am several times over, and you start thinking about the future of your children or your grandchildren and what kind of world they got to grow up in and live in. It is hard to suppress that anger. Because what you're seeing right now is you're seeing people killing your grandchildren and your children through medical warfare, mandates and medical warfare. You're seeing people harm your children by having them have to wear certain facial attire that is unhealthy to the max. You're seeing them harm people. You're seeing them kill people. You're seeing them ostracize people, just like the Jews in Nazi Germany. And yet, people don't learn from history. People just stand around and make the same mistakes that Jews made in Nazi Germany, make the same mistakes that other people have made, other citizens, other cultures have made when some tyrannical motherfucker all of a sudden popped up out of nowhere and decided that they were going to have an agenda of mass control and extermination. And yet people can't look at history. They can't look at history. They can't look at all the earmarks of what went down before that historical event took place. They can't see that? And that's why I feel the need to get out here and say the things that I do. And like I said before, this should go viral. I'm not taking sides here. Okay? The only side that I'm taking is the side of freedom for everybody. The side of peace on this earth, the side of individual contentment, the pursuit of happiness, that kind of thing. Without some motherfucker saying, you gotta fucking do this and you gotta fucking do that. I don't need other people telling me what I gotta do or don't have to do. And neither do you. So is revolution wrong and militia's wrong, like the Constitution says is right? Patriots got branded as terrorists at the Capitol event? Really? You think that wasn't planned? All of a sudden, people that are for a certain president or that say they're patriots, all of a sudden they're labeled domestic terrorists because of some event at the Capitol that was orchestrated by the very people that want to brand these people terrorists, who themselves are global terrorists? Propaganda, manipulation, the art of war on a psychological level is what we're facing here. You need to think about these things, people. You need to pass this video around. Make it go viral. I'm not trying to get viewers. I'm just trying to get my message out. So many people out there spouting pure unadulterated bullshit on both sides, alternative media, mainstream media. The Hegelian dialectic, one side against the other side. People can't think for themselves. They give their power away to whatever group they align themselves with, whatever meme they align themselves with. And then they try to infect others. See, the real infection here is not with any virus, okay? The real infection here is a mental infection that people have with memes and belief systems. It's just as deadly as any other kind. Why? Because they allow tyranny and they allow other people to kill other people, and they actually put energy into that. Their whole energy is trying to convince people of, well, you're wrong and I'm right. And if I'm going to go out and do what the government says, then you should do that also. Or if I'm going to take a stand with something like Black Lives Matter or some other movement that's been taken over by devious globalist terrorists, okay? If I want to buy into that, then you're going to buy into it too. You're going to buy into it too, whether you want to or not. Because that's the way I think and that's the way I believe. It's an infection of the mind. It's a spreading of dis-ease. Because these poor, pathetic fucks want to force their will on you, which nobody has the right to do. And they're a victim of the globalist terrorists, the manipulation, the propaganda. This goes really deep, people. You really have to research what propaganda is all about. You really have to research what mind control is all about. You really have to research what psychotic behavior really is and how it is enforced on other people. You really need to do some research. You don't accept my word. You don't accept truthers' words. You don't accept Biden's words. You don't accept government words. You accept what you find out, whatever truth you can find out by research, by critical thinking, by looking into matters. Hello? You need to really do some research. Think about things. Think about your freedoms. Think about what a miserable ass you are because you allow yourself to be manipulated and be a slave to the system. Government in itself and authority in itself is contrary to natural law. Ultimately, this is going to all play out. It's all going to play out, and it's all going to come to a head, and it might not be pretty. Okay, just so you know. And I'm not here, like I was saying earlier, to strike fear into people. Just giving you a heads up as to the consequences of your non-action. The consequences of your non-action. Why do you think that they're instituting all these things, separating people, social distancing, making people hide half their face so you can't see their smile or the expression on their face? Why do you think they're doing this kind of stuff? So you won't talk to each other, so you won't converse with one another. They don't want people even conversing with one another. They want people distancing themselves from other people. They want fear. Can you see this, what's going on here? Can you see why they want this thing? They don't want people talking and reasoning things out and having healthy debate about things. They want a restrictive straitjacket society that you will do as you were ordered, and that's the end of the game, even if it's to the detriment of your health and your children and your grandchildren. It's all a game, people, and they know how, it's a dark, evil game, and they know how to play it a lot better than you do. That's why I'm out here. And I've been out here for 10 plus years. On BoobTube and YouTube and Rumble and yet, do I have thousands of viewers? How is it that some of these people spouting this rhetoric out there, and even alternative view people, have hundreds of thousands, and man, they put out a video and they got 60,000 people watching it and all kinds of people commenting and blah, 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 blah. And here I am telling you unadulterated, right straight from the heart, listen to the wind, speak from the heart, truth. And somehow that doesn't get a lot of views. Is it because people are just that fucking stupid, or is it because they've been shadow banning me for a long, long time, ever since day one when they knew where I stood? That's really what has been happening. I don't know how much longer I'm going to do videos. I might write a book instead, another book. I've written 3 and I'm an award-winning author. I might write another one. I'll take the transcript off my video and make chapters in a book. How's that? Anyway, I think I'll leave it there today. I don't know why I do this, really, other than the purpose of, I must have a deep-seated purpose to want to see my fellow man live in a free way. And from a selfish point of view, if my fellow man lives in a free way, I live in a free way. Okay? And you have to love yourself and you have to love your own freedom before you can love anybody else's freedom. But when you see that a mass collective consciousness affects you and your family, and you see the stupidity involved with it, it's almost unbelievable. Instead of attacking people with bullets, they're attacking them with needles. You know, I mean, I'll leave it there today. I think I've said enough today, and I hope to get this up on YouTube. Keep trying not to get my channel taken down. Why? Not because I like YouTube, because I have like over 500 videos on my channel that are about a lot of different things and not just about this topic. It's about the history of the Native Americans and all kinds of things. Just topics that are of interest to historical buffs and that kind of thing. People interested in the Native American thing. Otherwise, I really don't give a fuck. And maybe I shouldn't even care about that, really. All right, I'm going to leave it there, people. You need to put on your militia hats. That's what I'm feeling. You need to form up some militias under constitutional authority and go for it. Either that or get out in the street in millions. And do something. Get off your ass. Adios.